All right. Well, I want to thank you, Lena Melendez, for joining us today. You're a candidate for City Council, District 7, right?
Yes, Manhattan District 7.
Okay. Seems to be the city is suffering a little with a little virus. And the governor has decided to shut down New York. It's presenting a lot of problems. People are unable to leave their homes. Only essential workers are allowed to work. And people aren't going to get paid. So April 1st is coming along pretty soon. What do you think the effects are going to be for people?
Well, we're already seeing the effects. But April 1st is usually when rent is due. And so, besides the usual bills, rent is going to be due. And people, if you cannot work, you can't cut the bills. And a lot of people live paycheck to paycheck. Many people, many working class people don't have, in fact, the majority of people don't have even like $400 for set aside for an emergency. There used to be a time when you could you could sock away 6 months worth of bills, but rents are too high to sock away anything.
Right.
Right. Living on credit. And now they can't even pay their credit cards. People are going to crash and burn.
Right. The city and the entire country is in a difficult situation.
Yes.
Some of the groups that I've talked to recently are considering mutual aid groups to help individuals in their community. Have you looked at that? Have you thought about that?
Well, right now, some of the groups that I work with have reached out to our local politicians, like our state senator, and asked them to reach out to the supermarkets. And he did. He said he would. And so he's reaching out to the Supermarket Association to see if they could, at the very least, provide food, basics. And now we're not talking credit card bills or rent. We're talking about basic food. This is the stuff that revolutions are made of. When the masses of people go hungry, that it's dangerous. That this is why the GOP is so willing to cut checks to people. Okay, but they're not willing to cut checks to everybody. So it's going to get ugly. It's going to get ugly. And so the people that are not able to apply for food stamps, people that are not able to apply for a stimulus check, or they're not going to get a stimulus check, they're not able to apply for unemployment, they're living in the shadows. This country has depended upon their work and their labor. Those are the people that I'm concerned with. I'm concerned with everybody, but the ones that are not able to even get the stimulus check or an employment check.
Now, part of the problem also is the fact that I think we both know a lot of people that are undocumented, and they will not be getting any money.
That's what I'm talking about.
Right.
Yeah. And so, and they have families. They have families, they have children. It can, I'm already seeing an uptick in the Citizens app on violent crimes, assault with a weapon, robberies with weapons. And, it's going to get ugly. I was, last week I was out in Long Island in, I think, Hempstead. It was Hempstead Turnpike, and it was in Elmont or Franklin Square. And I was outside of a business that was, sorry about that, outside of a business that that had a line of people go out the door, down the block. And when I looked, it was a gun shop. So people are feeling like,
well, they're frightened.
even if they are able to take care of themselves, they're afraid of people who are not able to take care of themselves.
Right. It's a scary situation. I mean, when we talk about mutual aid, shouldn't the city council or the mayor put something together on a citywide basis to help people, and then possibly break it down to different districts?
I was just, yes, but I'm hoping this is a separate issue. I am hoping that people wake up April 1st and say that this administration it does not have their backs. That, the person at the helm is not capable of leading in a time of crisis. Previous leaders have had, to deal with pandemics. Nothing like this has happened. Nothing even close to this has happened. We've had to deal with the Ebola crisis. We had to deal with MERS, with SARS. This should not have gone on. We should not be here right now. Had it not been for the people on the very top saying that this was a hoax, and that this was going to be resolved quickly, without, just off the top of their heads, just total idiocy, we would not be here right now. And to add further insult to injury, not being willing to help the states with federal monies. This is, there's very limited things that we can do on the local level, on the grassroots level. Everybody's hurting.
Right.
Unless we have philanthropists come in and start just throwing their money around.
Well, Mr. Bloomberg has been tossing money around. You would think, since he's a New Yorker, he might be willing to help.
No, we see where people's interests lie right now.
Yeah.
It's in bailing out corporations once again, just like it happened early, in the 2008 recession. And, that we can't allow it to go on again. We can't, the people have to rise up.
Right. And as you said, this is a period, if you look back in history, the reason that FDR created the New Deal was because he was afraid of a revolution. And we have not been in that situation since that period. And I think we're in a deeper situation that they were in back in the 30s. The oligarchs are making much more money than they did back at that time.
Yes.
So it's time for the people to get out and make some noise.
Well, truth be told, the oligarchs didn't earn that money. The people working for them earned that money.
That's right.
They don't get that money.
That's right.
And so now, it's,
Marx and Lenin talked about that, and people never really pay attention to the fact that they never truly get paid for the value of their work. Maybe during a period like this, they'll take a different stand. This country has let too many unions die, and then some of the unions that do exist have corrupted leaders that side with the powers. So we need to address those as well. One,
Absolutely.
one of the big things that New York has been going through is gentrification, and it doesn't only affect people and their rents, it also affects the mom and pop stores, and we all see our favorite stores leaving. Uh, in a situation like this, they are probably the most vulnerable when it comes to business. Do you have any ideas on what we can do to help?
There's been a bill that's been kicking around in City Council for over 30 years. And we're going mamby-pamby on this for commercial businesses. What makes New York City, New York, are its quirky stores, are its culturally relevant stores. They're having this, we've had a tough time to even try to pass a mediation arbitration bill. The Small Business Job Survival Act are now being called Survival Act. I say we need to just take the gloves off and just call for what we need, which is rent control, commercial rent control. We had it before, it was during wartime, and I think that we should call it back. We should have that back. I don't think we should be afraid of calling it rent control. Capping rents, yes.
Rebney has had too much control over our political leaders. And fortunately, and you were involved with the Inwood situation, and we've seemed to be winning some small cases. I'm sure a lot of them will be retried, and we'll have to still continue to fight. But can you tell us a bit about what you went through in Inwood?
In Inwood, but when I came into that fight, it was we were already in the ULIP process. I think we had just entered or were about to enter the ULIP process, and I was naive enough to think that the ULIP process was really about including the community. It's not. Once a rezoning enters the ULIP process, it's a done deal. The backroom deals have been cut. All the money has been slid under the tables. All of it has been plotted out. And so it's really a sham. The ULIP process is, I can't call it anything but a sham. But I was naive enough to think, and during that process, that we could actually affect change. And so what we did, all right, Northern Manhattan is not for sale, Met Council, RENA, all these other groups, unions and churches and tenant associations and businesses, they all got together and resisted this rezoning. We kept trying to get meetings. We were not being heard. We were giving, there was this white paper that was given to the electeds. They didn't seem to even care about it. They would take the paper, yeah, I'm gonna read it, and nothing. So we escalated the attempt to resist it. And so we did things like block off, and we marched and we blocked off a major artery, which resulted in 9 of us getting arrested. We occupied the city councilman's office, and that resulted in an arrest. We flooded the community board meetings. They had never seen that many community people from the community engaged, civically engaged. We did a lot of flyering. We were the ones who raised the consciousness in the community, because people were not. This EDC was not reaching out to the community. They were reaching out to stakeholders who they were saying that stakeholders, who they identified as stakeholders, but the entities that were identified as stakeholders were really people that were going to benefit from the rezoning. They were going to get monies. So, nonprofit groups, that's how they subsist. They rely on monies being given to them, right? So by the time it got to the vote, it just seemed impossible. It just seemed like there was no possible way that after all that was said and done by thousands of community members, petitioning, meeting, calling, letter writing, civil disobedience, down to the last vote. We were there at every public hearing. It just seems that it was impossible that this thing was still going to go through. And in hindsight, it's because the deals were already cut. Once the rezoning goes into a ULIP process, there's really nothing the community can do, despite the fact that a ULIP process is supposed to be to engage the community.
One of the things I think we missed on the last two meetings that they had to change the city charter was to give the community boards more power and maybe have the city councilman share more of his power with the community. But we've kind of missed that in the last two meetings. We'll have to bring it back at some later date.
I think that what we should do is give the community boards the power to yay or nay a rezoning. Let the community go to the community boards, and it should not be in the hands of the city council, who rubber stamps the whatever that council member in that particular district wants. It was amazing to me that a city council member would not listen, would ignore, and would gaslight the community. Literally telling them, yes, I hear you, and don't worry, everything's gonna be fine, and you're gonna have affordable housing units, when there's evidence to the contrary. What happened in Williamsburg, what happened in Long Island City, what happened in Harlem, El Barrio, Long Island, and it defies reason.
There's what irritates me the most is the fact that they ignore everything that we say. That it's almost like a parent treating their 2-year-old. We have no rights, and lately we've had to go to court to have those people listen. So we've got to get them to pay more attention to us. I think we also need some recall laws where we can recall these people when they do not listen to the constituents.
Well, we part of there's a subsection of Northern Manhattan is not for sale, Inwood Legal Action, and where there were people that were being affected by the rezoning, that had lost their apartment, that had lost their businesses, that had lost their ability to make money. And they went in with Northern Manhattan, with I think it was either Northern Manhattan or Met Council as the lead complainant on an Article 78. Up until then, Article 78 were not won usually on a rezoning. We happened to make a poignant case, and which was, given that a ULIP process is the purpose of it is to give voice to the community. When the community is not allowed to speak, or the things that are done in spite of what the community overwhelmingly wanted, then, you know, the judge saw her courtroom was filled with people from the community. I mean, we were there every step of the way. She saw, and she annulled it, as she should have.
Well, it's like the cases that Alicia Boyd in Crown Heights is fighting, where the developer was told not to do any work, and suddenly one of the people that lived across the street from the development, an individual took videos and showed that there was work being done. So the judge, on his own, went down and saw that work had been done.
But the problem is that we've got to get money out of politics.
Right.
That's the problem. As long as you have, you know, these huge donations from interested parties that have special interests, then, you know, the council people, you know, and people in government are not going to be working for the people. If you take the money, you cannot work for the people. It is one or the other. That's why in my campaign, I'm not accepting money from either landowners or developers or special interest groups.
Good.
Accepting small donations.
One of the things that came up recently, I think it was Friday, that Hakeem Jeffries was calling for the release of at-risk inmates to be halted, the release of at-risk inmates to be halted. What do you think about that idea?
I think that it's horrible that an inmate would have no choice and would be in a situation, as they are, to contract a virus that can kill them. I think it's horrible because you have COs coming in close proximity. You have, I don't know if they still have visitors, but they're certainly not in a position to socially distance or, you know, or have any rights. It's horrible. I think that non-violent criminals should be let out of that situation. This is, we're talking life and death.
Right, they really are.
This non-response from the administration, to me, indicates it's genocidal.
Let me re-ask that question again. You don't have to answer. I just want to have it on video that I asked the question. This past Friday, Hakeem Jeffries, in a virtual press conference, indicated that he was in favor of releasing inmates from federal jails for nonviolent crimes. What do you think about that idea? So you've already answered that. One more question is, During this period of the situation we're in with the virus and people are trapped in their homes, is there a message that you want to give to your constituents?
I would hope that they utilize their right to vote. I would hope that they can discern that the administration is not working for the majority of American people. I would hope that that's clear to everyone right now. And I would hope that they use their right to vote people out of office that have no business in politics. I've never in my wildest dreams ever thought that something like this would come to pass. That something that was preventable like this could be let go this far. It's negligent, it's irresponsible, it's genocidal. Oftentimes I hear, I think that people should at this point understand that this is something we are in it all together. Doesn't matter. The virus does not discriminate against age, race, class, gender, religion, philosophy. This touches everybody's lives. This is like what happened in 9/11 when everyone felt a sort of unity. It was beautiful and it was horrific at the same time, because all of these biases and all of these sort of divisions were suspended for that time. And we became, I didn't see people in terms of all of those labels. I saw them as another human being that was suffering and that was in peril. And this is a time when we need to see each other in that light. We can't, this is not a time to be selfish. This is a time to pull together as a community. I've been reaching out to people in my building. I've been reaching out to the tenant association, the block association, my other community groups that I belong to, reaching out and been on conference calls, trying to figure out how we can best meet the needs of the community, given that the government is not doing that, and Cuomo says he can't do it. He's not going to be able to pull the plane up. He's not going to be able to do it. He needs.
He can't add those additional hospital beds on his own. I mean, we should never have let those hospitals close to begin with, but he's going to have to rely on the federal government to help to reestablish some of those needed beds.
Yeah.
Well, I want to thank you for taking time joining us, and I hope we'll come back again. We'll talk some more. I want to wish you luck during this period, and good luck with your campaign.
Thank you. Thanks so much.
Okay. Bye-bye.
Okay. Bye-bye.